Hello, World Wide Web. I'm Dr. Shado, the internet personality with the best hair, and it's getting very close to the holiday season. Christmas. I meant Christmas. Don't hurt me! In the spirit of the season, let's take a look at what may very well be my favorite Christmas movie. That being a movie that takes place around Christmas, yet has next to nothing to do with the day itself. Die Hard, starring Bruce Willis. What, did you think it would be Prometheus? I'm sorry, not too interested in rebuying that. So maybe in 3D 4K. Never mind. Die Hard came out in 1988, during the golden age of 80s action flicks. Strange that happened to take place during the 80s. In Die Hard, Bruce Willis plays Officer John McClaine, whom, while ridiculously outside his jurisdiction, happens to be the only hope for a group of hostages in the 20th Century Fox headquarters. The story also happens to be based on a book, Nothing Lasts Forever, and according to IMDb, something like 6 different people were all the first to be approached to play the role of John McClaine. For sure, an early choice was Arnold Schwarzenegger, but he turned it down, which is how we ended up with Bruce Willis. Nevertheless, let's take a look at Die Hard and get into the true spirit of Christmas. Gunfire and explosions! The story opens to our lead, Bruce Willis, who is getting some unorthodox travel tips.
You want to know the secret to surviving air travel?
Don't get out until after the airplane lands?
Walk around on the rug barefoot and make fists with your toes.
Of course. Works just as well as making your ass sneeze, I'd reckon. Once we establish airport security in 1988 is incredibly lax, we introduce a somewhat important character, McClane's limo driver, Argyle, played by Devereaux White. Incidentally, he happens to be a former cab driver and incredibly intuitive, giving us our exposition dump about McClane's family life.
You thought she wasn't gonna make it out here, and she'd come crawling up back to you, so why bother to pack, right?
Hey, if you had to try and fit 200 VHS tapes, a Bowflex, and a Merkava Mark IV into cardboard boxes, you'd have second thoughts too. After a little 80s Christmas rap. Seriously, I'm not making this shit up. McClane reaches Nakatomi Plaza, which, oddly enough, is not a plaza, but a big-ass building. Argyle opts to stick around in the parking garage until they find out if John will be staying with his wife, or needing a lift to a hotel. His wife, whose name's spelling changes when you select it. Which I had to slow down quite a bit in hopes that you'll see it. Kind of reminding myself why it's not necessarily a good idea to nitpick every fucking detail. Hey, wait, am I complaining about the movie or my review skills here? Upon reaching the office Christmas party, John finds his wife's boss, Joseph Takagi, a Japanese native, played by James Shigeta from Hawaii. And of course we can't forget douchey McDoucheburger, Harry Ellis, played by Hart Bachner. It doesn't take long before they do bring in Bonnie Videla, who plays John's wife, Holly.
Show him the watch.
Well, go on, show him. What are you, embarrassed?
We gotta establish it now. It'll be important later. Come on, show him! Point is, she got a Rolex as a company gift due to her ass-kicking in the business. It also seems Ellis is jealous of Holly's accomplishments. Not that it bothers her much.
It's okay, I have my eye on his private bathroom.
For the convenience of washing up, or for the stash of cocaine. So after only 15 minutes, we get to see the estranged couple getting back together again, just so John can fuck it all up with superficial bullshit.
I guess you didn't miss my name, though, huh? Except maybe when you're signing checks.
And you have to remember if you spell Gennaro with an E or an A. Thus, their discourse breaks down into petty bickering, up until Holly has to go speak to the staff, leaving John to wallow in his self-loathing. Never mind this for a second, something far more important is going on downstairs.
Boom! 2 points.
The body count has started. Introducing us to our friendly hacker Theo, played by Clarence Gilliard Jr., and Alexander Gundolf as Carl, neither of which are nearly as important, character or actor-wise, as Alan Rickman, who famously plays our big bad guy for this flick, Hans Gruber. A daunting adversary, but do not worry, for he will have to deal with Bruce Willis, the action hero for the ages.
Fists with your toes.
Not making this very easy on me, Bruce. This would be the perfect time for the bad guys to show up, crash the party, and give John only the slightest window with which to escape their sweep. Winding up in an unfinished floor and finding the phone lines are cut, he comes up with a plan. Random voyeurism solves every problem. Well, at least it's better than just hiding in a locker or some shit. At this time, Hans very calmly and politely weebs Takagi out of the group, taking him into an upstairs meeting room to get a little information out of him, while John sneaks in to witness the events.
The code, please.
There are 7 safeguards on our vault, and the code key is only one of them. You'll never get it open.
Then there's no reason not to tell it to us.
Huh. He's right, there's no gain from withholding the information, and no real loss from giving it to him. I mean, there's no reason you have not to tell him at this point. Well, except maybe shock value, I suppose.
You're just gonna have to kill me.
Okay.
Well, at least he knows how to give the people what they want. Seeing this, John hastily retreats, making enough noise to spook the bad guys, but he still slips away as easily as one would in a stealth video game. Probably just a rat. Now, desperately wanting to get the authorities informed, John pulls the fire alarm, inadvertently alerting the bad guys to exactly where he is, allowing them to not only call the fire department to cancel the dispatch, but send a goon down to cut John's life a wee bit short.
I promise I won't hurt you.
Trust me. You'll be dead before your nervous system has a chance to register what pain you're in. With a slip and a ruse, John manages to turn the tables, which somehow results in them not shooting each other, but wrestling. At least until he manages to break the guy's neck. Like any decent gamer, McClaine knows to loot the dude's corpse, getting himself an MP5, radio, and a lighter. However, no decent armor drops.
9 million terrorists in the world, and I gotta kill one with feet smaller than my sister.
Though that does cause me to wonder what in the fuck kobolds are doing carrying around barbarian-sized gear just for shits and giggles. He also establishes that evidently John McClaine is a deranged psychopath, dressing up the corpse to taunt the goons while listening in just above them in order to take notes on his forearm. In permanent marker that we never see again. Carl is none too pleased to find out that his brother has been killed, but Hans gets the man to cool his tits, as their operation does require pulling off a rather precise plan.
And if he alters it?
Wouldn't the event so far mean that he already has? Continuing to alter the fuck out of things, John gets to the roof in an attempt to call emergency services via the radio. Having just dealt with the alleged fire prank, they don't exactly buy his story of terrorists and automatic weapons.
Attention, whoever you are, this channel is reserved for emergency calls only.
No fucking shit, lady! Do I sound like I'm ordering a pizza?
And damn, I forgot how many awesome quotable moments there were in this movie. Realizing that he would have needed a place with a strong signal to transmit from, Hans sends his goons to the roof to take the man out. But Carl has a caveat.
No one kills him but me.
Because at no point should you ever avoid making a situation arbitrarily more complicated for yourself. His call is rudely interrupted, but hey, at least the guys decide may as well send one officer down just to feel like they did something, introducing us to Sergeant Al Powell, played by Reginald Vell Johnson. But another thing. Some of you out there might be saying, damn, 75 cents, that's cheap gas. But remember, this is 1988. I mean, adjusted for inflation, that's $1.50. Damn, that's cheap gas! Back on the rooftop, John manages to escape with his life, possibly because only one of the 4 people was actually trying to kill him. By the time he reaches a safe spot, Powell arrives, greeted by the friendly criminal PR department.
Evening, officer. What can I do for you?
So the European terrorist is pretending to be an American from California by employing a Texan accent. While Powell walks around inside, a firefight breaks out between John and a random encounter. After he kills off 2 more bad guys, Powell figures everything is hunky-dory and leaves. I know 40 stories separating them, but still, guns tend to be loud. Especially in this movie, they actually used extra loud blanks that caused Bruce Willis to suffer permanent ear damage. So, the police still don't notice? Yeah, I'm going to have to wait for actual confirmation that he really did just notice that.
I'm in Nakatomi Plaza, turning my car into Swiss cheese! I need backup assistance now! Now, goddammit, now!
That works. The police show up seconds later, and John has a heart-to-heart with Hans over the radio. They don't really establish anything new, just hammering home points we already know, while leaving a few lines for the audience to remember.
Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker.
Because cowboys and 80s. I wonder what a cowboy movie from the 80s would be like. Dead Draw, starring the most American hero there ever was, Arnold Schwarzenegger. We get more radio chatter as Powell establishes contact with McClaine, who is keeping his own identity a secret for the time being, and go over the established fact sheet of this movie once again.
They're well-financed and very slick. I've seen enough phony IDs in my time to recognize that the ones they got must have cost a fortune.
Not quite enough, though, as you seem to have been able to figure them for forgeries with the naked eye in about 2 minutes. Along with the street cops, we meet Deputy Dwayne Robinson, played by Paul Gleason, who is less than convinced of the random good guy's intentions.
Powell, has it occurred to you he could be one of the terrorists pulling your chain?
It's also worth noting that critic Roger Ebert didn't like this character. I mean, really didn't like this character. He gave the movie a 2. The biggest complaint he had was that he didn't like the deputy. Powell, however, is convinced that the good guy is a cop, for reasons.
Like being able to spot a phony ID.
Jesus Christ, Powell! Could be a fucking bartender for all we know.
It's also worth noting that with lines like that, it's why I fucking love this character. It's really nice to see a movie that's not afraid to have fun with itself. It doesn't take long before the press reveals the situation to the masses, including Argyle, who is still waiting in the parking garage. It'll be important later. Really. With that, the police make their move to break in, with a blowtorch to the deadbolt of the glass door. Yeah, they deserved that. The police go one-up with an armored vehicle, and the bad guys one-up that with a rocket launcher.
Kill-tastrophe.
Not to let the other team's kills go unanswered, John throws a little something together for them. Which takes out 2 of them, but strangely does not result in a loss of structural stability.
I don't know who in the hell you think you are or what you're doing, but you just destroyed a building.
People have a very weird definition of destroyed.
I've got 100 people down here and they're covered with glass.
Glass? Who gives a shit about glass? Who the fuck is this?
Okay. So apparently there does exist a sexual fetish around broken glass. I did not need to know this. Let's ignore that for the rest of eternity. It turns out that Ellis believes he has figured out a way to negotiate with the terrorists. Now why does that sound like an inherently bad idea?
The guy upstairs is fucking things up, huh? I can give him to you.
And I'm giving you the first chance here because, I really like you. I mean, there's this guy I know in Cambodia who will take this guy tomorrow if you don't jump on this right now. Ellis gives Hans the information of who exactly Bruce Willis is playing in this movie, but like most of his business deals, he did BS and fudge a few facts here and there.
I told them we were old friends and you were my guest at the party. They want the detonators or they're gonna kill me.
And I already earned my death in this movie at least 5 times over, so be a pal. Unsurprisingly, John does not give in to the demands, which means Ellis profits slightly less than he anticipated. I can't believe it. The private bathroom is finally mine. As the deal was a complete bust, Hans contacts the LAPD and starts making very odd demands to have certain criminals released from prison in exchange for the hostages' freedom.
Do you think they'll even try to do it?
Who cares?
Hans' demands are as reasonable as a shitty girlfriend. The demands and possibly the hostage situation and several dead catch the attention of the FBI, who show up in short order. Seriously, they arrive minutes later while Hans is still checking how things are going upstairs. I mean, until this happens.
Hi there.
Hey, could you hold this for me? No, not the gun, just the bullets.
Please, God, no, you're one of them, aren't you? You're one of them.
Yeah, he fakes an American accent, and this somehow works. That's the story, and the movie's sticking to it, giving us a scene with a disarmed and vulnerable Hans having small talk with John McClaine, who is somehow none the wiser.
Better being caught with your pants down, huh?
Or watching a man shoot Takagi in the face and then completely forgetting what he looked like. Yeah, Hans' face was obscured from the one angle they were using, but remember, he stood up before John turned around to leave, so yeah. Then again, when he gives Hans a gun to protect himself, it takes about a second for him to reveal who he is, and another to show that John sorta knew because the gun's not loaded.
You think I'm fucking stupid, Hans?
You're saying?
Well, if we're going with the angle that you did know that was Hans all along and just farted around with the idea of taking him down for shits and giggles, yeah, I think that pretty much counts as stupid. Fortunately, however, a firefight breaks out as a result. Hans reacts in the same way any gamer would when encountering very impressive physics models for the first time.
Shoot the glass.
Looks like it's entirely procedurally generated. That's fucking awesome. Shoot it again. As a side bonus, this presents a problem for John, who we've established 582 times thus far, is barefoot. However, he still manages to get the slip on Carl, who can't follow bloody footprints because... Not important, Hans got his detonators. During this brief interlude, John pleases gorehounds and foot fetishes simultaneously, while Powell exposits his sad backstory for the audience.
I shot a kid. He was 13 years old.
It was a good shot, but not supposed to do that, it seems. Enough of this touching history, though. We finally learned that the only way for Hans to get into the Nakatomi Vault without every last authorization code was if all the power to the building was cut, which the FBI are more than happy to help with. Which manages to kill the electromagnetic lock on the safe, which was established many times over, and I didn't bring up because I'm trying to make sure this review isn't 45 minutes long. Now that they have their money, the plan is to get the hostages off the roof for FBI extraction, and then blow the whole fucking thing up as an elaborate and psychotic diversion, giving them the chance to escape. Though there are a few problems with the plan. First of all, John finds a C4 under the roof and is onto them. Second... Carl has every chance under the sun to blow him the fuck away, and pretty much no reason not to, but postures about being the bad guy long enough for this to happen. Yeah, fucked up there. Not quite as bad as the press.
Come home.
Mrs. McClaine.
In the name of ratings, let's put one of the hostages into an especially dangerous situation. Wait, is that actually how it worked? Because everyone else is marching forth to be blown up, so she's actually safer now. She's doing better than Carl in any case, whom is strung up by the neck with some handy-dandy chains. This gives McClaine the chance to get the hostages back downstairs, but as large groups of confused people are notoriously difficult to work with, he herds them with gunfire, which causes the FBI choppers to assume he is a terrorist and open fire. Yeah, they did mention that the FBI was going in guns blazing instead of sending transports, but I didn't cover that because I'm trying to keep this review down. How long is this anyway? Oh shit, okay, let's cover the basics. In case of emergency, John uses the fire hose to leap off the roof while Hans activates the detonators, resulting in an iconic image that will be taken out of context years later. Barely surviving, he finds he has only 2 bullets left. Theo prepares to leave in the ambulance they suddenly have for some reason, and is punched out by the very convenient Argyle. This brings us to John's showdown with Hans, who's holding Holly hostage. But even with only 2 bullets, he can still fake them out with that manly chest hair.
Enough jokes.
It's my show, asshole! Ironically enough, Hans' one weakness happens to be contagious laughter, giving John the chance to pull out a surprise pistol using his 2 bullets to take out the bad guy and his goon. Still not tense enough, so he hangs out the window, holding onto Holly's watch, which they evidently break in order to give him a falling death, which is cliché, or traditional, take your pick. And yes, I'm sure they broke the thing. I mean, it was a Rolex. They don't come undone, they just loosen. Point is, happy ending! John survives, meets Powell, and we find out Carl is a zombie, and Powell gets over his fear of guns thanks to his fear of the undead. And now that you've survived an action movie, what are you going to do next? Go to jail for an unprovoked assault broadcast on live TV while surrounded by police officers? Fair enough. Well, that was Die Hard, and I fucking love this movie. Die Hard is possibly one of the smartest action movies ever made. The book it's based on was allegedly quite a bit more detailed on the realism factor, but Die Hard excels in other ways. First of all, the acting is phenomenal all around. This is due in no small part thanks to Bruce Willis, who I believe helped propel this film into the mainstream thanks to his portrayal of John McClaine being so relatable. Much as I love Schwarzenegger movies, it's kinda hard to be lost in that fantasy and imagine that it might actually take place in reality. But even though the movie does real and relatable well, it doesn't lose itself chasing that pedestal. More than a few times, the film has fun with itself. From the bad guys stealing candy to the woefully uneducated professionals in the news. It's a satire hidden in the subtext of the movie, and I feel the whole experience is better for it. Clocking in at nearly 2 hours and 15 minutes, Die Hard spends a lot of time establishing characters and backstory during its runtime. Some of this feels to be placed a tad awkwardly, but the movie manages to feel balanced. Overall, Die Hard is a masterfully constructed action movie that takes a fantastic situation and makes it believable while giving you distinct characters to learn and care about on both sides of the conflict. Some parts feel odd or cliché, but nothing in my opinion is near enough to bring this film down from 5 reminders that John McClane has feet out of 5. It was successful enough to go on to spawn a trilogy, which was undermined years later by the release of another movie, and then another that I didn't even know about before starting this review. Next week, I will not be covering the sequels. Why? You should know by now. Thank you all for watching. I've been Decker Shado, and remember, in case of terrorist attack, kill the terrorists and take their stuff.
Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker.